So this session will delve into the powerful role of formative assessment, not merely as a grading tool, but as a continuous integral part of the teaching and learning process. We will explore how these ongoing assessments provide invaluable insights that enable teachers and educators to adapt to their instruction, meet the diverse student needs, and ultimately foster deeper understanding and greater academic success. So for our objectives, first, we will gain a comprehensive understanding of why formative assessment is critical for effective teaching and learning, including its role in identifying learning gaps and promoting student engagement. We will also explore how it differs from summative assessment. Diba? We have this formative assessment and we have this summative assessment, and how are the two different, and its unique value proposition in the classroom. Second objective, we will discover and analyze a range of actionable formative assessment strategies that can be seamlessly integrated into daily lesson plans. So this includes techniques for quick checks, observational assessments, and student self-assessments to gather immediate data. The third, we will learn how to effectively interpret and act upon formative assessment data to make more informed instructional decisions. So this objective focuses on using insights to differentiate instruction, provide targeted interventions, and enhance overall student learning outcomes. So now, what's the definition of formative assessment? Formative assessment is not a single event, but an ongoing process that occurs throughout instruction. We cannot say that formative assessment, ano lang siya ma'am, start of the lesson. Hindi. It's actually an ongoing process. It can happen even as you progress with your lesson. I know you educators are very familiar with this. So its primary goal is to monitor student understanding and provide continuous feedback to both teachers and students. So unlike summative assessment, which we evaluate learning at the end of a unit, formative assessments are integrated into daily lessons, allowing for real-time adjustments. So this dynamic process helps educators pinpoint learning gaps. We can identify misconceptions, yung misconceptions ng bata, and gauge the effectiveness of our teaching strategies before the final evaluation. So it's actually a process of knowing the child and injecting the right amount of teaching strategy, the right teaching strategy, so that the learner will be able to understand the lesson before the final evaluation. That's why yung formative assessment is not necessarily graded. Pwede siyang hindi graded kasi. Kasi that's where teachers make the necessary adjustments. So for students, it provides clarity on their progress, highlights areas needing improvement, and encourages active participation in their own learning journey. So it's about assessment for learning rather than assessment of learning. Kasi yung assessment of learning, summative assessment yun eh. Yung formative, ito yung assessment for learning. So it emphasizes improvement over judgment. So yun na, it emphasizes improvement over judgment. So why formative assessment matters? Bakit ba ito important? Kasi kung hindi naman ito importante, why provide this? Diretso na lang tayo sa summative assessments, yung mga quarterly exam. So why is formative assessment very important? First, it prevents misunderstood concepts. So formative assessment acts as an early warning system. Yung parang NDRRMC na tumutunog at nag-chat, nagte-text kung may paparating na bagyo. Yun yung formative assessment. So by regularly checking for understanding, teachers can prevent students from progressing through a lesson with fundamental misunderstandings. So this ensures that foundational knowledge is solidified. Yun. Foundational knowledge is solidified or may concrete na understanding yung bata sa foundation before moving on to the more complex topics, preventing a cumulative knowledge deficit. Second, it supports timely instructional adjustments. So the real-time data gathered through formative assessments empowers teachers to adapt their lessons on the fly. If a significant portion of the class is struggling with the concept, portion ng class na nahihirapan with understanding the concept, the teacher can immediately re-explain, use a different teaching method, or provide additional support, ensuring that instruction truly meets the student needs. Third, it encourages student reflection and ownership. So formative assessment shifts the focus from getting the right answer to understanding the learning process. So when students receive ongoing constructive feedback, they become aware of their strengths and areas for growth. So this fosters a sense of ownership over their learning journey and encourages them to take proactive steps toward improvement. So there's what we call self-reflection, that the child should own his or her learning journey. Hindi yung kung anong dinidikta ng teacher, yun lang talaga. They should own their own learning journey because that's where motivation kicks in. If they're motivated, if they're enjoying what they're actually learning, surely they will get the concept that we're trying to teach. Now, we have key characteristics of formative assessment. We have low stakes or ungraded. We have student involvement. We have interactive or iterative. We have descriptive, actionable feedback, and then variety of formats. So, ano ba yung low stakes or ungraded? So, itong low stakes or ungraded, the primary purpose, di ba, natin is learning, not grading. So, formative assessment are often untimed, ungraded, or carry minimal weight, reducing student anxiety and encouraging genuine attempts and risk-taking without fear of penalization. So that's what I've been telling you kanina. Formative assessments can be ungraded. So this focus allows students to experiment and learn from their mistakes. And then we have student involvement. So students are active participants, not just recipients. They engage in self-assessment, peer assessment, and goal setting based on feedback, developing metacognitive skills. Ano nga yung metacognition? Thinking beyond thinking, and taking greater responsibility for their own learning. And then we have this interactive and iterative. Ano to? So when we say interactive and iterative, formative assessment is a continuous loop of teaching, assessing, giving feedback, and adjusting. So it's a dialogue between teacher and student, allowing for multiple opportunities to demonstrate understanding and refine skills before mastery is expected. Then we have descriptive actionable feedback. So instead of just a score, di ba? We give scores. Normally, teachers give scores. So instead of just a score, effective formative feedback tells students what they did well, what they need to improve, and how to improve it. It is timely, specific, and directly linked to learning objectives, guiding students toward their next steps in learning. And then we have variety of formats. Okay. Actually, formative assessment can take many forms beyond the traditional quizzes. Ano ba yung mga traditional quizzes natin? We have the multiple choice, fill in the blanks, ano pa? Enumeration, identification, yun yung mga traditional quizzes. But actually, you can have any other forms. The modern forms. We have the informal observations, classroom discussions, quick polls, peer assessments, short written responses, or even hand signals. So this variety of forms caters to the different learning styles and provides a more holistic view of student understanding. Then, we have examples of formative assessment strategies. And I think you're very familiar with this. First, we have exit tickets. Ano ba yun? At the end of a lesson, students respond to a specific question, summarize a key concept, or pose a lingering question on a small slip of paper before leaving. So this provides immediate insight into student comprehension and informs the starting point for the next lesson. So you can actually use this, dear teachers, the exit tickets. And then we have the muddiest point. Ano ba yun? When you say muddiest, yun talaga yung ano ba yun? Sa amo pa na, in our dialect, it's very malapok. Malapok. Oh. So, you ask students to identify the most confusing or muddiest part of the lesson. So, muddiest, parang yun yung pinaka-blurred nila na nalaman. Yung parang blurred. Yung blurred talaga, meaning wala talaga sila. I mean, there's a certain confusion on that part. So, you identify the most confusing or muddiest part of the lesson or reading. So, this helps teachers pinpoint specific areas where clarification or reteaching is needed. So, making subsequent instruction more targeted and effective. At least in your end as teachers, when students do this, you will know na kung anong part ng lesson yung bata hindi nakaintindi. No? Kasi if you're just gonna ask the students, do you understand? Of course, the students will answer, yes, ma'am. But in reality, meron talagang may confused pa talaga. So, if you're gonna employ these dear teachers, it's actually very effective. Muddiest point. Now, we have think, pair, and share. And I think you're very familiar with this because you've been doing this in your own respective classroom. So, how do you do this? You pose a question. You allow students individual think time and then have them discuss their thoughts with a partner. Finally, you invite the certain pairs to share their conclusions with the larger class. This encourages critical thinking, collaborative learning, and provides a broader range of ideas. This can actually be called also as peer learning kasi they are by pairs. Peer, P-E-E-R learning. Then we have 1-minute paper. Students write a brief, unstructured response to a prompt, typically summarizing the main point of the lecture or lesson, or articulating the most important thing they learned. This assesses recall and synthesizing skills in a low-pressure format. Okay. Pero I'm so saddened because nowadays, I think learners are having difficulty in even constructing simple sentences. Even in secondary schools, teachers are struggling because learners are relying solely with AI tools in answering their reaction papers, reflection papers. I think there's a need that we actually teach AI responsibly. And of course, AI is actually fast. Parang darating ang panahon, hindi na natin actually in our term, maapsan. Hindi na natin, maabutan yung kabilis-bilisan ng AI. But but even if it's actually fast growing and fast pacing, we as educators and school leaders should actually teach our teachers and learners that we should actually have limitations in the use of AI. We should teach them that AI, though it's actually beneficial, has its own limitations. It should be used morally and responsibly talaga. And of course, it doesn't necessarily replace books. AI is actually a partner in learning, not a replacement of learning. That still human intelligence is still the most reliable source of intelligence in the planet Earth. Hindi ako papayag na yung ChatGPT na yung magre-replace sa mga teachers. No. Human intelligence, the teachers are still the most reliable source of information on planet Earth. Yun. Next. Using formative data to guide instruction. Dito na naman tayo. Data-driven instruction, data-driven decision-making. So the true power of formative assessment lies not just in collecting data, but in using it to dynamically guide instruction. Once data from exit tickets, observations, or discussions is gathered, the next crucial step is analysis and response. So, in analyzing student responses, we systematically review student work or responses to identify common misconceptions, persistent struggles, or areas where understanding is strong. We look for patterns, not just individual errors. And then we have adjusting lesson plans or the need to reteach. It is very common for teachers to reteach. It's not actually a bad flag if you reteach. So based from your analysis, you modify your upcoming lesson plans. This might involve reteaching a concept using a different approach or a different teaching strategy. You provide additional examples or break down complex ideas into smaller, more digestible parts. And that's what we call unpacking. That's what we call unpacking. When there's a broad, complex objective, we teachers tend to unpack into smaller, more digestible parts. And then we group students strategically. I know you do that. You group your students strategically. You use the data to create flexible student groupings. Some students may benefit from targeted remedial support, while others might be ready for enrichment activities or more challenging applications of the concept. And then, of course, we provide timely feedback. I'm gonna highlight this. Timely feedback. So we deliver specific, actionable feedback to students promptly. The closer the feedback is to the learning event, the more effective it will be in helping students correct their understanding and improve their performance. So if feedback needs to be given, do it now. Huwag mo nang paabutin na next week, next month mo paibigay kasi nakalimutan mo or sabi mo ipinatatawag ka ng school head mo sa office. Hindi. Feedback should be done promptly and timely. And then, engaging students in the formative process. So for formative assessment to be truly effective, students, our learners, must be active partners in the process, not just passive recipients. So engaging them directly fosters greater ownership, self-awareness, and motivation. So how do you do that? First, we share clear learning targets. That's why at the start of the lesson, we introduce the lesson. We begin each lesson or unit by explicitly stating what students are expected to learn and why it matters. Also, clarify the success criteria. What does mastery look like? When students understand the what and the why, they can better monitor their own progress. I think there's no intro to a lesson na hindi sinasabi ng teacher kung ano ang dapat ma-achieve ng mga students at the end of the lesson. So that's it. That our objectives should be clearly stated to our learners. Then we have teach self-assessment and goal setting. So we equip students with tools and strategies to assess their own work. This could involve rubrics, checklists, or peer feedback protocols. Even in groupings, you should involve your learners. How is that so? Okay, class, we will have this group activity. What are the rules that each of you should actually do when you're engaged in a group activity? So, one student will say, ma'am, hindi magno-noisy. Okay, hindi magno-noisy. Number 2, ano ma'am, mag-help with each other. Oh, mas mabuti if the rules and the norms in a group activity would come from them because they would actually remember that and they would internalize that na hala hindi pala tayo dapat magno-noisy. Hala dapat pala tumulong ako kasi yun yung napag-usapan at before the activity. So ganon. You involve the learners in the setting of the norms and expectations. And of course, you also provide rubrics because that's very helpful for the students to achieve what is needed to be achieved in a group activity. And then you guide them in reflecting on their performance and setting to be realistic so that the goals are realistic and actionable for improvement based on their self-assessment. And then we foster a culture of growth. So we cultivate a classroom environment where mistakes are viewed as learning opportunities and feedback is seen as a gift for growth. Okay? Hindi necessary na may feedback. Kaya nga yung students parang nagiging scared to make mistakes because sometimes the feedback is too negative when we give it to them. So sometimes when we give feedback, let's internalize to learners that it's actually a gift for growth, that feedback is actually an avenue for improvement. It's not something na it's something negative.
Maganda naman.
I'm sorry. I thought you're talking, Miss May. Sige. Then we emphasize effort and progress over perfection, making students comfortable with vulnerability and continuous improvement. Then, aligning formative assessment with learning objectives. So for formative assessments to be truly effective, they must be purposefully designed to align with your learning objectives. Yun. Even as school heads, in checking the lesson plans, we actually ensure that from the motivation to the activities up to the evaluation, all should be parallel and aligned to the learning competencies. Bakit? Kasi kung parang hindi siya aligned, this can actually give confusion and misunderstanding. That's why, yun nga, when checking lesson plans, yung tinitingnan talaga namin first is yung learning competency and then yung alignment na ng lahat ng parts ng lesson plan to the competency. This ensures that the information you gather is relevant and actionable for improving specific student outcomes. So, how do you do this? First, you use the backward design. Ano ba yung backward design? Yung kabalikang ayos? So, you start with your desired learning outcomes or standards. Then you design your formative assessments to provide evidence that students are progressing towards their specific outcomes. This ensures that every assessment task serves a clear purpose. And then you select appropriate assessment types. Ano ba yung assessment types? So you choose formative strategies. that directly reveal mastery of the targeted skills or knowledge. For example, if the objective is to analyze a text, analyze a text, so an exit ticket asking for a summary, analyze a text yung competency, pero yung naplano mo is exit ticket for a summary. So I think it won't suffice the goal or the competency. Instead, you ask students to explain, to identify and explain the author's argument. So instead of ipapasummarize mo sa kanila, yung competency natin is analyze a text. So instead of giving an exit ticket, so you can ask students to identify and explain the author's argument. But I think as educators, mas marami pa kayong napaplanong mga assessment types kaysa itong aking binigay na example. Then we continuously refine assessment. Okay. So formative assessment itself is an iterative process. So based on student responses and the insights gained, you refine your assessment tools and methods. So if an assessment, para sa inyo, if an assessment that you're using is not yielding the desired data or desired outcome, what will you do? Of course, we as educators, we adjust it, we change it, we use another type of assessment that we think is much better than what we are using now. So yon. Now, how do we transform instruction through formative assessment? So bakit ba kailangan talaga natin yung formative assessment in our teaching and learning process? So first, it's essential for responsive teaching. So formative assessment is not an add-on. Naka-embed talaga to. It's the heartbeat of a responsive and effective teaching. If it moves us from guessing what students know to precisely understanding their needs. So allowing for agile instructional decisions that truly meets learners where they are. And then, varied strategies, better success. So, as educators, we are not bounded lang na, quiz lang to, quiz lang parate, oral recitation lang parate. I think we should explore on other assessment tools and types. What's the goal? To answer the diverse learning styles and needs of our learners. So, implementing... So implementing a diverse range of well-aligned formative strategies leads to richer data and more comprehensive understanding. This in turn enables targeted interventions and enrichments, directly contributing to enhanced student learning outcomes and success. And then, of course, it empowers teachers and students by providing continuous insights and actionable feedback. Formative assessment empowers teachers to refine their craft and students to take charge. For teachers to refine their craft and for students to take charge of their own learning journey. As I've said kanina, we want learners to own their own learning journeys. So it fosters a shared commitment to improvement and growth in the classroom. And of course, commit to continuous improvement. Let's commit to embedding formative assessment as a cornerstone of our instructional practice. So embrace its iterative nature, we value the insights it provides, and witness the transformative impact it has on both your teaching and your students' learning. So as I've said kanina, it's still a continuous improvement. There is no single best strategy. It actually depends on your learners, on the diverse needs of your learners, and how to cater the individual multiple intelligences of our learners.